It's 2023. The Eagles have just lost the Super Bowl. The Will Smith eating spaghetti AI video isn't scary good yet, and I'm scrolling Instagram. I come across a post about the world's hardest triathlon. Now, there are a handful of triathlons that claim this title. There's like the Norseman and other ones. But this one's called Arch to Arc, and it grabbed my attention immediately. So I moved over to Safari, the best browser in history, and I search up Arch to Arc. The triathlon is your normal three-stage event, but it unfolds a little bit differently. You start at the Marble Arch in London, and you run about 80 miles to Dover. Once you get to Dover, you swim across the English Channel, and then from there you bike to the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. That bike ride is about 181 miles. But unlike a normal triathlon like an Ironman, there's no mass start, no road closures, and no aid stations. People complete the challenge individually with support from a crew. The crew handles things like logistics, nutrition, navigation, and safety. So after learning about this, I was immediately obsessed. At this point in time, 2023, I'd only completed one full distance Ironman and had never ran further than a marathon. I looked on the race website and it said you had to apply for the race. Basically, you explain your athletic background and then they decide whether or not they think you should apply. I tried this every few months for about 2 years and never got a response. All I got was basically thanks for your inquiry, and I can't even blame them because I feel like they had a good reason. This is the hardest triathlon in the world, and I do not have the resume to do something like this. So I knew if I wanted to have any chance of getting in, I'd actually have to work for it. At the beginning of 2025, I applied for and got into the Ultraman Florida race. This was in an effort to strengthen my case for doing Arch to Arc. Ultraman is a 3-day triathlon that's basically a double Ironman. The swim and the bike are a little bit longer, but it ends with a day 3 double marathon. I was so excited when I found out I got in, and I trained for about 6 months before I received an email. Email stated that the race was canceled. So quick side note, this turned into a whole fiasco. It was like the race is canceled and then they're going to do this like new race, but then that new race was canceled and they were going to issue refunds. And then when I went to try to get a refund, they said the race director didn't work at the company anymore. It was like this whole thing. And then eventually they ended up putting the legitimate Ultraman event back on, but at that point I just like am not in the situation where I can just like throw a few $1,000s out to something that may or may not happen. I didn't know. I wish absolutely no bad blood to Ultraman or anybody involved in that. I just think it was a bunch of miscommunication between people and stuff like that. I just decided to remove myself from it, get the refund, and I ended up not doing the Ultraman race, which at the time I was pretty devastated, but it ended up kind of being a blessing in disguise. About 2 months after I withdrew, my Achilles pain got to the point where I literally could not run. Everything came to a head at the Indianapolis Marathon, where for the back half of the marathon, I basically walked the whole thing in. It took me like 5 hours to finish. Obviously, whatever your marathon finish time is awesome. It doesn't matter if you do it in 3 hours or 6 hours. But for me, I had ran many marathons at this point under 4 hours, and that was my goal for the day. So when I came in with that 5-hour time, it showed that I had been kicking the can on this injury so long that it's now limiting my ability to do the thing that I love. And I just realized at that moment that I can't keep doing that. I can't keep pushing through it. I actually have to stop, take time off of running. And truthfully, at that point, I needed a break. I was feeling burnt out and uninspired, and I was skipping workouts and just not in the right headspace to keep going because I was just in so much pain every time I ran. So I took November and December of 2025 off of all cardio completely. No biking, no swimming, no running, just focusing on healing my body and kind of just making it through the holidays. And then at the start of 2026, I got right back into the swing of things. I'm now about 6 weeks out from Ironman Lake Placid. I'm in the best shape I've been in years, and I'm so excited for that race. But obviously now that I'm back doing the endurance stuff, that itch has just come back for the Arch to Arc. I know I'm jumping around on the timeline here a bunch, but just stick with me. So in January of this year, when I started running again, I also reached back out to Arch to Arc and essentially was like, look, I really want to do this race. I know I haven't heard back. What do I need to do to prove that I can do this race, or at least apply for this race? And I actually got a response. And they responded back saying that they're updating their selection process and to keep an eye out for an email. This didn't come as a surprise because they were always very responsive to emails, but I never had the opportunity to apply because my resume is so weak. In March of this year, I got an email saying that they're launching this cohort program for the 2029 Arch to Arc season. Okay, so this is from the website. It says the cohort consists of 22 athletes chosen to enter a structured multi-year development and observation process. Over time, through swim camp attendance, performance, and the Lanzarote Ultra and overall approach, 11 athletes are selected and offered Arch to Arc slots for the 2029 race. I think this is cool. I don't like my chances, but what really stood out to me here is the thing that I've been looking for this whole time, which is if you don't get in, they're going to tell you why. And that's what I need. I need that blueprint to say, okay, you could probably do this in a few years, but we need to see a stronger swimming background. We need to see you run 50 miles, 60 miles. They'd give me a reason. And that's exactly what I've been looking for over the past 2 years. So that email came to me in March and I applied immediately. They opened at the beginning of March and then they close at the end of this month. So in about a week or so, I should get my answer. So here is the case 4. I wrote a very passionate personal essay when I submitted, essentially outlining why I do endurance sports, which is a story that I'd like to share on this channel eventually. I just don't think that now's the time. I've done 4 Ironmans, I've ran 11 marathons, and while that might not necessarily be the strongest resume, I do think that that's not nothing. And I've proven that I can go out there and have a 15-hour day and finish a race with a smile on my face and wake up the next day and be fresh and want to run and that sort of thing. So even though I don't have that super long distance evidence, I have proven that I know how to do that and that I'm more than capable of getting to that point. And they use the word observation, and maybe that's truly what this is going to be. It's going to be an observation over 3 years to know if I can actually accomplish this race. I know the timeline's condensed a little bit because there would be a placement test essentially in the fall of 2027, but that's 16 months. And getting into the cohort does not mean I'm getting into the race. It's just getting me into that pool of athletes for them to watch. So maybe they'll take a chance on me. I don't know. That's what I'm telling myself right now. I'm not the kind of person who thinks, oh, I probably can't do it, so I'm not even going to try. I'm going to try. I don't think that I'm going to get in, but I have to try. Here's the case against. I have no real ultra experience. I've ran a 50K, and that's it. It took me about 8 hours. I have no ultra swimming experience, and this is swimming the English Channel, which not a lot of people have done. I also have 2 years of not even being allowed to apply for the race. There's a huge list of people that want to do this, and they're definitely more qualified than me. This isn't meant to be like Debbie Downer or woe is me. I'm just genuinely saying that my credentials are probably not up to snuff. But like I said, I'll get a blueprint here. So if I don't get in this year, I can apply in the following years with a way better resume, and I'll know what those items need to be. I want to do this race. This has been my North Star for years. This is my life goal, and I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can to try to do it. No matter what happens, I'll push through. Regardless of the answer though, this is actually going to be the last episode of season 1 of this show. And season 2 is going to open with their response and where we're going to go from there. I'm also going to add like sections to the videos. I have this like whole idea outline. It's going to be a lot of fun. My point being, however this turns out, I'll be okay.
All right, it's 5:22 in the morning. I got the email from Arch to Arc from Enduroman. I haven't opened it yet. I literally just woke up and I'm like shaking. So